Maps are more than just tools for navigation, they are powerful reflections of the time in which they were created. Each map tells a story, revealing the geographical knowledge, technological capabilities, and worldview of its maker. By examining maps from different eras, we can trace the evolution of our understanding of the world and gain insights into the historical and cultural shifts that shaped our perception of the planet we inhabit. In this essay, we will embark on a journey through time comparing two remarkable maps created centuries apart: the Tabula Rogeriana by Al-Idrisi in 1154, and a world map by French cartographer Guillaume de Lisle from the 1720s. Maps are like windows into the past. One of the most striking features of Al-Idrisi's Tabula Rogeriana is its south-up orientation. Unlike modern maps that typically place north at the top, Al-Idrisi's map positions south at the top and north at the bottom. This unconventional orientation reflects a different worldview prevalent in the medieval Islamic world. In Islamic cosmology, south was often associated with the direction of Mecca, the holiest city in Islam. Placing south at the top also aligned with the prevailing winds and currents in the Indian Ocean, which were crucial for navigation and trade in the region. This orientation might seem unusual to us today, but it was a logical and practical choice for Al-Idrisi and his contemporaries. It highlights the importance of considering cultural and geographical context when interpreting historical maps. The south-up orientation of Al-Idrisi's map reflects a different way of seeing the world. In the 12th century, many people in the Islamic world believed that south was the most important direction. This was because Mecca, the holiest city in Islam, was located in the south. Also, the winds and currents in the Indian Ocean, which were important for travel and trade, flowed from south to north. By putting south at the top, Al-Idrisi's map showed how important the south was to people in the Islamic world. It also made it easier for sailors to use the map, because it matched the way the winds and currents flowed. This shows us that maps are not just about showing the shape of the land and sea. They also reflect the beliefs and practical needs of the people who made them. The Tabula Rogeriana, completed in 1154, was a monumental achievement in the history of cartography. It was a comprehensive world map, depicting the known world as understood by Arab geographers at the time. The map was not a single sheet, but a collection of 70 rectangular sections that, when assembled, formed a large circular map of the world. Al-Idrisi combined information from ancient Greek and Roman sources with contemporary accounts from Arab travelers and merchants, creating a remarkably detailed and accurate representation of the world for its time. The map depicts continents, oceans, mountains, rivers, cities, and trade routes, showcasing the vast geographical knowledge accumulated through centuries of exploration and scholarship in the Islamic world. The Tabula Rogeriana was not just a geographical document, but also a work of art. It was richly illustrated with miniature paintings depicting cities, people, animals, and plants from different regions, adding a vibrant and engaging dimension to the map. Al-Idrisi spent many years creating his map. He studied old books from Greece and Rome. He also talked to Arab travelers and traders who had been to different parts of the world. All this information helped him make a map that was very accurate for its time. The Tabula Rogeriana was not just a map, it was also like a beautiful picture book. It had small paintings of cities, animals, and plants from all over the world. The map showed the continents, oceans, mountains, rivers, cities, and the routes that people used for trading. The Tabula Rogeriana shows us that people in the Islamic world knew a lot about geography long ago. It is a reminder that many different cultures have contributed to our understanding of the world. While the Tabula Rogeriana was a remarkable achievement for its time, it also reveals the limitations of geographic knowledge in the 12th century. The map accurately depicts the Mediterranean region, North Africa, and the Middle East, reflecting the extensive trade and cultural connections within the Islamic world. However, its representation of Europe, Asia, and sub-Saharan Africa is less accurate, reflecting the limited reach of Arab travelers and merchants in those regions. The map also includes mythical creatures and fantastical lands, reflecting the influence of ancient legends and folklore on medieval cartography. For example, the map depicts a land of cannibals in southern Africa and a region inhabited by giant ants in India. These mythical elements remind us that maps are not just objective representations of reality but are also shaped by the beliefs and imaginations of their creators. Al-Idrisi's map showed the world as people knew it in the 12th century. It was very good at showing places that were part of the Islamic world, like the Middle East and North Africa. This is because people from these areas traveled and traded a lot with each other. However, the map is not as accurate when it shows places further away, like Europe, Asia, and Africa, south of the Sahara Desert. This is because people from the Islamic world did not travel to these places as often. The map also shows some imaginary creatures and places, like a land of cannibals and a place with giant ants. These stories were part of the legends and beliefs of people in those times. This shows that maps are not always completely true. They can also be influenced by the stories and beliefs of the people who make them. Fast forward to the 1720s, and we encounter a new era in cartography. Guillaume de Lisle, a French cartographer, represents a significant shift in map-making techniques and geographic knowledge. By this time, European explorers had circumnavigated the globe, and scientific advancements had revolutionized the tools and methods of map-making. De Lisle embraced these advancements, incorporating the latest astronomical observations and surveying techniques to create maps that were significantly more accurate and detailed than their medieval counterparts. De Lisle's maps reflect the growing influence of scientific inquiry and empirical observation in the Enlightenment era. His maps were based on a more rigorous approach to data collection and analysis, moving away from the reliance on ancient authorities and anecdotal accounts that characterized earlier maps. De Lisle's maps represent a significant leap forward in the pursuit of cartographic accuracy and precision. In the 1720s, map-making took a big step forward. Guillaume de Lisle, a French mapmaker, used new techniques and knowledge to make better maps. By this time, European explorers had sailed around the world. New scientific discoveries had also changed the way maps were made. De Lisle used these new ideas to make his maps more accurate. He used information from astronomy and new ways of measuring the land. This made his maps much more accurate than the maps made in the Middle Ages. De Lisle's maps show that people in the 1700s were starting to rely more on science and facts. They were not just copying old ideas anymore. De Lisle's maps are an example of how the Enlightenment, a time of great intellectual growth, changed the way people saw the world. De Lisle's world map from the 1720s presents a stark contrast to Al-Idrisi's Tabula Rogeriana. De Lisle's map adopts the now familiar north-up orientation, reflecting the standardization of cartographic conventions in Europe by this time. The continents are depicted with greater accuracy, reflecting the advancements in geographic knowledge gained through centuries of exploration and colonization. The map also includes detailed coastlines, mountain ranges, river systems, and political boundaries, showcasing the increasing precision and sophistication of cartographic techniques. De Lisle's map reflects the growing European dominance in global exploration and trade. The map highlights European colonies and trading posts around the world, showcasing the expanding reach of European powers in the 18th century. The map also includes detailed information on ocean currents and wind patterns, reflecting the importance of maritime navigation for European empires. De Lisle's map of the world, made in the 1720s, looks very different from Al-Idrisi's map. De Lisle's map has north at the top, which is how we usually see maps today. By this time, most mapmakers in Europe had agreed to put north at the top. The continents on De Lisle's map are also drawn more accurately. This is because people had explored and learned more about the world by the 1700s. De Lisle's map shows coastlines, mountains, rivers, and borders between countries in great detail. This shows us that map-making had become much more accurate and detailed by this time. De Lisle's map also shows that European countries were becoming more powerful in the world. The map highlights the places where European countries had colonies and were trading with other countries. This tells us that European countries were exploring and controlling more parts of the world in the 18th century. The comparison between Al-Idrisi's Tabula Rogeriana and De Lisle's world map highlights the significant advancements in cartography over the centuries. De Lisle's map benefits from the development of new technologies and scientific methods that allowed for greater accuracy and detail in map-making. The invention of the printing press in the 15th century enabled the mass production and dissemination of maps, making them more widely accessible to scholars, explorers, and the general public. The development of new surveying instruments, such as the theodolite and the plane table, allowed cartographers to measure distances and angles with greater precision, leading to more accurate representations of landforms and coastlines. Advancements in astronomy provided more accurate measurements of latitude and longitude, enabling cartographers to pinpoint locations on the globe with greater accuracy. These technological and scientific advancements transformed cartography from an art based on estimations and approximations to a science based on precise measurements and calculations. Between the 12th and 18th centuries, map-making changed a lot. Delisle's map is much more accurate than Al-Idrisi's map because of new inventions and scientific discoveries. In the 1400s, the invention of the printing press made it possible to print many copies of maps. This meant that more people could have maps, including scientists, explorers, and ordinary people. New tools like the theodolite and the plane table helped mapmakers measure distances and angles more accurately. This allowed them to draw the shape of the land and coasts more realistically. Discoveries in astronomy helped mapmakers figure out the exact location of places on Earth. All these changes meant that mapmaking was no longer just about guessing or drawing what people thought the world looked like. It became a science that used exact measurements and calculations. Comparing the tabula rogeriana and Delisle's world map reveals more than just advancements in cartographic techniques. It also provides insights into the changing historical and cultural perspectives that shaped these maps. Al-Idrisi's map reflects the worldview of the medieval Islamic world, with its focus on Mecca and the importance of trade routes connecting the Islamic world. Delisle's map, on the other hand, reflects the worldview of Enlightenment Europe, with its emphasis on scientific inquiry, exploration, and colonial expansion. The differences in orientation, labeling, and representation of the world in these two maps highlight the significant shifts in knowledge, power, and cultural influence that occurred over the centuries. These maps are not just geographical documents but also cultural artifacts that reflect the values, beliefs, and priorities of the societies that produced them. When we look at Al-Idrisi's map and Delisle's map side by side, we can see how people's ideas about the world changed over time. Al-Idrisi's map shows us how important Mecca and trade routes were to people in the Islamic world during the Middle Ages. Delisle's map, made several centuries later, shows how important science, exploration, and controlling other parts of the world were to Europeans during the Enlightenment. The way these two maps show the world is different. They show us that the way we see the world is influenced by what we know, who has power, and the culture we live in. These maps are not just about geography, they tell us about the history and culture of the people who made them. Maps have played a crucial role in shaping our understanding of the world and driving exploration and discovery. Throughout history, maps have served as essential tools for explorers, navigators, and traders, guiding them across vast oceans, uncharted territories, and unknown lands. Maps have enabled us to conceptualize the world beyond our immediate surroundings, fostering a sense of wonder and curiosity about distant lands and cultures. Maps have also played a pivotal role in shaping political boundaries, influencing trade patterns, and facilitating the exchange of knowledge and ideas across different regions. From the ancient Silk Road to the age of exploration, maps have been essential tools for connecting people, cultures, and continents. Maps have always been important for understanding the world around us. They help us find our way, explore new places, and learn about different cultures. For explorers, sailors, and traders, maps are like guides. They help people travel across oceans, discover new lands, and find their way in unfamiliar places. Maps help us imagine the world beyond our own neighborhood. They make us curious about faraway places and people. Maps have also shaped the way countries are divided, how people trade with each other, and how knowledge and ideas spread from one place to another. From the ancient Silk Road to the age of exploration, maps have helped people from different cultures and continents connect with each other. Maps are not just tools for navigation and exploration, they are also valuable historical artifacts that provide insights into the past. By examining maps from different eras, we can trace the evolution of geographical knowledge, technological advancements, and cultural perspectives over time. Maps can reveal the extent of exploration, trade routes, political boundaries, and the distribution of resources at different points in history. They can also provide clues about the beliefs, values, and worldview of the societies that produce them. Studying historical maps can enrich our understanding of the past, providing a visual and tangible connection to the people, places, and events that shaped our world. Maps are like time machines. They can take us back in time and show us how the world has changed. By looking at old maps, we can learn about how much people knew about the world at different times. We can see how technology improved, how cultures changed, and how people viewed the world differently throughout history. Maps can show us where people explored, what they traded, how countries were divided, and how resources were spread across the land. They can also give us clues about what people believed in, what they valued, and how they understood the world around them. Studying old maps helps us understand history better. It's like having a picture that connects us to the people, places, and events that shape the world we live in today. From Al-Idrisi's Tabula Rogeriana in the 12th century to Guillaume de Lisle's world map in the 1720s, maps have served as powerful tools for understanding and representing the world. They reflect the evolution of geographic knowledge, technological advancements, and cultural perspectives over time. Maps are not just geographical documents but also historical artifacts that provide valuable insights into the past, revealing the beliefs, values, and priorities of the societies that produced them. As we continue to explore and map the world, both physically and digitally, the legacy of cartography endures, shaping our understanding of the planet we inhabit and fostering a sense of wonder and curiosity about the world around us. Maps continue to inspire exploration, facilitate communication, and connect us to the past, present, and future. Maps have been an important part of human history for a long time. They have helped us understand and picture the world around us. From Al-Idrisi's map in the 1100s to de Lisle's map in the 1700s, maps show how our knowledge of the world has grown and how our ideas about it have changed. Maps are not just about geography, they are like pieces of history that tell us about the people who made them and the time they lived in. Today, we are still exploring and mapping the world, using both old and new methods. The art and science of mapmaking continue to be important. Maps help us understand our planet better, encourage us to explore, and make us curious about the world around us. Maps connect us to the past, help us understand the present, and guide us towards the future.